Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our group call today. We are excited to have Jesse Kern moderating the panel. He will share what he is doing to achieve success through events. We also have John, Anya, Lori, and Shannon with us who will share their event strategies. Jesse?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, very good. So, Olivia asked me to do this because I just did my third movie event. I did a free screening of Black Widow on July 10th, which was Saturday morning of opening weekend of that movie. And I love events. I've incorporated them into my business since the beginning. I've always been a database kind of guy who if I'm going to call people 4 times a year, I'm not highly sociable. I'm like an introvert that likes to work with people, so I need context and making database calls. And so for me, I have a background in music, piano and voice, so I like performing, and I have a background in education where I taught at a school where I would regularly do like community lectures. So I thought, events that are real estate related, some of them educational, others fun, would be a great way for me to incorporate into my business. Been to a couple of family unions and mega camps where I went to some sessions, breakout groups to get some additional ideas and that kind of thing. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm here in the Des Moines, Iowa metro. Been licensed and selling real estate for 7 years. So let's have the other panelists introduce themselves. John, and is it Anya?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been in business for 14 years. I got licensed in 2007, just after moving here with John to Sarasota. Shortly after that, we hit the worst recession in my life, and I ended up doing a lot of BPOs over the next 2 to 3 years, and John got licensed in 2009. In 2012, our business all of a sudden turned around from just doing BPOs and a closing here and there, and we actually started selling real estate full time.
Yeah, about 2015, things went south again. Up and down. We're exactly following the models, and then so we were going to get out of the business entirely. And then what we decided to do was, while we're polishing up our resumes, let's get buckled down and do what we need to do. And eventually, by the end of the year, we hit 24 transactions, so everything started going the right way. 2018, we hired our admin, and that pushed us, and we did our first event, our client appreciation event. And since then, we've been doing 4 a year. So that year, we ended up closing 45 units. And we're slow, so we kind of 45 and then 55 units next year, and then 65 units or 66. And then this year, we're on track to about 75 to 100 units. Depending on how hard we push ourselves over the next few months. So, but we love customer appreciation events. They keep us closer to our people. So
Yeah.
we're doing 4 a year, and our goal now is to do 6 and get to about 10.
6 to 10 events a year.
6, yeah.
Very good. Tell me a little bit about, or tell the group how or what your vision is for 6 to 10 within a year, and how to interface with your database in that way.
Say it again, please.
So like I do 4 a year. I'm a single agent right now. I have a virtual assistant, and I'm on Cody Gibson's United Hope Home Group team.
Oh, great.
And so I do right now 4 events because I call my database 4 times a year, invite them to those events and that sort of thing. So tell us a little bit about how multiple events, is that more touches for you? Just tell me a little bit about your vision and reasoning behind that.
So we know there's 13 weeks in every quarter. So that gives us an opportunity to go through and we plan the event. So if you go backwards 13 weeks, and I sent Olivia kind of an outline of a class I've been working on. If anybody wants to, maybe she can share it later. And the 13 weeks plan that we have. Essentially, so we plan the we plan the events, and then we choose the charity that we want to, we want to let people know about that we're involved in, and then we get our sponsors and get them on board, and then that's like 13 and 12 weeks. 11th week is set up the food and the photographer. Week 10 and 9 prep the items, and then throughout all those items, that time frame, we're touching our database. We're basically following the DTB2 kind of program. I was looking for my notes on the outline of that.
So yeah, when we do our 8x8, this is really the last 8 weeks. Week 1 would be the just immediately before the event. So I'm going to work from the event. Event is set, and we do a last minute touch. Hey, just confirming you're going to be attending. The week prior is like a group text or email reminder. Week 3 would be a reminder call. Invitations, written invitations go out in the mail 4 weeks prior. Week 5 is the Evite reminder. The phone call is week 6. In week 7, we do the initial Evite. And then week number 8 would be save the date. So this is how we touch our clients 8 times over 8 weeks. And the big events usually take 13 to plan, just because, we do have our business.
Even though there's a play, we have a general playbook. There's things that change. I mean, COVID changed. So we did a parking lot comedian event that we've done at different locations, and the comedian we ended up having to bring into the parking lot, set up a stage in the parking lot, had our clients, our customers, bring their own chairs. We set up tents, and just to keep everybody socially distanced, but we were still able to pull it off in the parking lot, and everybody had a great time. So that was awesome.
Well, we're going to hear about that more in a minute. I want to introduce the other panelists as well. We have Shannon. Shannon, would you like to introduce yourself and briefly tell us where you are? Shannon Dozer.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. I can hear you.
My internet connection seems to be weird. Okay, so I'm Shannon. I am in Kansas City. I'm actually over in Overland Park.
Good. Awesome. And then the other panelist is Lori Hill.
Yep.
Lori, want to introduce yourself?
Can everybody hear me okay? Or was she still talking?
I can hear you okay.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Weird connection.
Where are you, Lori? Where do you sell?
Yes. So good morning, everyone. I'm Lori Hill, and I am here in Oregon. I'm the Director of Operations, a licensed broker, and formerly the Director of Marketing. Now our team has a wonderful Director of Marketing, Mindy Van Til. I'm with the Gillette Home Team here in Oregon, and we have a large team here that serves the Willamette Valley, and events are our specialty. So I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you about that. Married with 2 children, and I love helping people. I'm a former MAPS coach for directors of operations, and then just as our team grew, wanted to give my best to all, and so I stepped back from that just to coach and help and lead my team. So I work as Laura's right hand, helping with the events, business development in the communities, and events are our specialty. So I'm super excited to talk.
Good. So John and Anya have talked a little bit about how events play a part in their business with 8x8s and on the 13-week or 12-week year calendar. So Shannon, tell us a little bit about how events play a part of your business.
Yeah, so we also do the 12-week calendar. Our team basically focuses on having 1 event per quarter. First quarter, we kick it off with more vendor appreciation breakfast. Our schedule is very similar to what they were describing, where the admin, we kick it off with every month or every 2 weeks, there's an email that goes out to the database. And so it'll have, save the date at the bottom. So we try to have them at least 2 quarters out. So far this year, we've done a local, and we're trying to backing up, support local businesses. So everything that we do, we're doing our best to have it be a local Kansas City based company, so that we have that tie in. Shannon Dozer Group, actually, I use the initials, and we use serve, deliver, give. So it kind of feeds into that. And we use different marketing at our client events. Giving back to the community is kind of where we're going with it. But so local brewery is what we did for Father's Day. We do a Santa at the end of the year. We do a nothing bunt referral type at the very end, and we tie that in with a Chiefs game. Our systems are very much like what was described, where it's emails, it's texts, it's Facebook, it's personal calls. So that's basically it, one per quarter, and it all builds up. The biggest one of the year is a community chili cook-off. There's thousands of people. We get sponsors and invite different people from our sphere of influence to be the chili kind of the head chefs. It's a 2-day event. We do special giveaways for our referral givers. They're called the Red Carpet Club. So they have special higher end type gifts. But we have a 2-day party, and that's kind of the big one of the year, in addition to Santa and those ones that are kind of going year after year. But that's the gist.
All right, cool, awesome. We're gonna
And
do
I would say
questions.
85% of our business, 85% of our business comes from our sphere of influence and past clients. And we'll do about 120 units, 124.
Very good. We're gonna do questions at the end, everybody, so don't worry about that. So Laura, you mentioned you're director of operations, and you want people to be healthy. Tell us a little bit about how you guys use events in your business.
Yes, we're very much similar. I heard similar things in what you said. Laura has been doing business in town for 30 years, close to 30 years. We want to give back to the community. Many of our nonprofits, our Boys and Girls Clubs, our every different imagine of nonprofits come to us for help in their events. We're a relatively rural area with towns that are close together, kind of separated by 10 miles or so. So our team is 41 people, and we did 551 units last year. We still call that families served, and we love events. We would rather give back to the community versus by support of the Booster Club and the parades and the Boys and Girls Club. And we're very blessed that they like to do events as well. So we have a brew fest, and we in the fall we have our team advance, and we plan out our playbook, our marketing playbook for the year. And we have many events. I'm a little overwhelmed today because we just finished our biggest one, which is what's called Pork and Tunes. We had 600 RSVPs, and we slow roast pork all day, and we have a great band, and we've added in layers of things that people feel free to reach out to me afterwards if you would like any of our systems. Over those 30 years of events, our secret sauce is perfecting the checklist so things are not missed, and every year we have a recap. What would we have done differently? We're using Google Forms and Google requests and invites and follow-ups at a much higher level. Like we added a Google form for if an agent is going to be at a particular event. Maybe they want to do the home show, or they want to do a bridal show or something like that, and that's their baby. Outside of our standard events that we do for our team and our database, our agents also have the opportunity to be involved, and they can send in that Google form with what they need for the event, what they want their setup to look like. We have some really great marketing setups that teams have reached out and said, where did you get that great marketing setup? It always looks great. I'm looking at my spreadsheet. We started adding in a tracking sheet about the event, how many entries we received, what we got from those, so we can always be tweaking that. So I can look back and I know at our movie event, how many nurtures we received, how many folks did we add to the database and the newsletter, how many buyer leads did we receive. So we keep that data, and we can improve on that. Some of the events we do is the Big Pork and Tunes. We've also do a movie night. We do 2 pie days now a year, one pie day before Thanksgiving and one pie day right before the 4th of July. We give out apple pie, and those are definitely our call through all of our Met database. Those folks get a personal call for an invite for the pie. And then we also do some photo shoots, a fall photo shoot, a spring photo shoot, a summer with Santa. We've done a dog park event. those types of things. And so they're almost too who do the parades and all of the things that we have in our small town of Americana here. So, but we have a checklist for everyone. We have a playbook, we have checklists. What dates do we have things completed by? Who do we order it from? What portion of is an administrative team to run, and what piece do the agents do? And then also, Laura's coach many years ago challenged her, even at Pork and Tunes, what types of referrals are you getting, or what kind of business are you getting, even though you're honoring your client? And so they register now for our giveaways and our gifts and our things that we're giving to our clients. And so we are capturing those CMA requests and those buyer leads and things at the event. And we also offer recurring classes here. We're fortunate enough to have a mega agent office. We have our own space. And so we have recurring classes, a buyer class, a seller class, an investment course, and I lead a career night. We were able to keep those all going through COVID via Zoom. And those are wonderful marketing out there to the community because you're being that resource of folks' knowledge. And so it's just something that you're constantly touching your community and marketing out there. So those classes have been a great thing to add to.
So Laura's your lead agent, correct?
Yes.
And is she the one that was on stage with Gary Keller from Oregon that had like 90% of business within the small community?
Yes. Yeah. So Laura's
Okay.
on stage. And she's the one that also did I'll whip you up a referral. If I'll whip you up a can of whip me up a referral.
I've used that at my pie events. Okay.
Yeah. So
I ran into a member of your team at Mega Camp, and you had an event where it's just a little card where you said, "Here, call this" or whatever. And
yes, she's really well known for her fishing card. So whenever we would go to Mega Camp or family reunion, I like to fish as well. So we'll go on a salmon fishing trip or something. And she had a picture of her holding a big Oregon salmon and a big fish. And it was, we invite anyone who wants to come to Oregon to see our office and see our systems or our processes, come see us. We'll host you at the office, and then we'll take you fishing. And she gives those cards out. We all have them, and we all give them out at Mega Camp and Family Reunion. So I miss those in-person events greatly. However, Oregon is now the heart of wine country. Excuse me, I have a little tickle. So I've started adding in, if you don't want to go fishing, we'll take you on a wine tour, because our office is 30 minutes from Willamette Valley Vineyards. And we're also, we're within 30 to 40 minutes of about 600 wineries, and Oregon wine is some of the best in the world. So we can host you for wine. I see out there on the panel.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we've got kind of a range of experience here from, John and Anya said they're on track for, did you say 55-ish this year?
75.
Okay.
Goal is 100.
Gotcha. Goal is 100. So last year I did 37. So I'm a single agent. I'm on Cody Gibson's United Home Group team, which is like an expansion team that's a partner model. So I don't have like buyer's agents or those kinds of things, but I have a VA, and looking at bringing on a showing assistant. Then we got Shannon with 120 units a year. And then we've got Lori's team that's very extensive, 30-year veteran there. Yeah. So the next question we're going to go into, and some of them have touched on this, is like, how do you choose the types of events? So for myself personally, I do I don't know the experience of all the agents on the call. I do 4 events a year myself. I do 2 social fun ones, like I just did the free screening of Black Widow. We had 74 people show up, and then some late stragglers. Which when I did Avengers Endgame 2 years ago, it was like 100 people in attendance. That was a bigger movie, and we weren't coming off a pandemic. For myself personally, when I do 2 fun events. So I have my holiday party. Last year was just photos with Santa only because of the pandemic. And then I do 2 educational events a year. Right now I do seller seminars, because let's keep it real, we all want sellers. And for myself personally, I call through my whole database. For those events, it's a way to touch them, come from contribution. I have mailers like Mike Lewis Marketing Suite creates this. I have a graphic designer on the United Home Group team, creates this wonderful thing. The lender and I paid for half of this. My home warranty person, my inspector, and my settlement agent here, we're in a title state. They all gave $200 a piece. So that was $600. Plus half the mailer was paid for, and I think the tickets I did it at 10 a.m. in the morning because I got matinee prices. It was early enough where we weren't competing with the movie theater's normal business hours, really. So $8.14, which included tax. He gave me a discount. I did not have to pay for all the seats up front. He let me pay for half up front, or actually this time only 20 seats. And then he said, just pay for what you fill. And I did this one all by myself. I didn't partner with other agents. So that's another thing. If you're just starting out to do this, you can partner with other agents that you trust. So there's ways to make it work no matter what production level you may be at this point in time. And for myself, I do 2 fun ones. It's pop-up or referral, and you get free pop and popcorn at the movie theater because the movie theater did a $5 special. So I just paid for all the pop and popcorns of the people that gave me referrals. I got about 7 or 8 at that event. A lot of these referrals are nurtures over time, so don't think they're in the microwave, going to close in 30 days. However, I also get referrals because I'm top of mind during that experience, not just directly at the movie theater. However, people were sending me referrals even before the event. And then I do the 2 events that are real estate related because, I want people to remember that I sell real estate. I don't just throw parties. So let's start with John and Anya. How do you guys choose your types of events? You mentioned you did a comedy event, and you do events related to your 8x8.
We're seasonal, I think, is most important here because it's Florida and there's nice and then there's hot and then there's rainy. So we have to be cautious about selecting the times and the events. And then we have seasonal as well as people that are, many of our customers are out of town half the year and then they come back in. So we just after going to the family reunion and hearing all about pie pickup events, we started with the pie pickup event in November. We heard about that for years. And we decided to do it with it. Instead of having people come to our event, to our office, we just decided to do it at a tiki bar. So we kind of set up the whole thing. We have a great pie maker in the area, got discounts on that, and invited everybody out to the tiki bar. So we did that. And then that was like, well, what do we do next? The next quarter is coming up. And here we have great weather for picnics. So our next event was a picnic out at a historic park and beautiful grounds, and people normally have to pay an entry fee. All we had to do was make the benches, and it was really inexpensive, $75, a musician to come out, get great barbecue catered, and that was a great event. So
yeah. So what we've learned over time is we've been always the setup and breakdown crew.
Yeah.
And that's really exhausting.
Don't do that.
So, you do want to make sure if your vendors sponsor, make sure they come early and help you, or just hire it out and have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you choose events based on the seasons because of where you are in the country down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And,
okay.
And just a tip on inexpensive if you're starting out new. Lunches are great, one-on-ones. Mm-hmm. And then we just did an ice cream social where we mailed out to everybody. We found an ice cream shop, ice cream happy hour. And it was about the mailing of the event. We had a few people come out Memorial Weekend on Friday. It cost us $250. That was with a tip. I mean, it was crazy, ridiculously inexpensive. So, and the ice cream shop was ecstatic to have the rush of customers coming. So,
very good. So you brought up a good point. I have my big database and I have my VIP database. So like, since I didn't want to spend as much money, I did a pie giveaway for only the VIPs. I held it at the lender's office. So there's different options. You don't have, every event doesn't have to be all gung-ho depending on your budget and your experience. And you might even want to do some smaller events throughout the year for your VIPs, your group of 20, 25 families that, regularly send you referrals or you want referrals from them, and that sort of thing. So thank you for that, John and Anya. We'll go to Shannon now, same question. How do you choose the events that you do?
Well, we've been actually kind of moving it around a little bit. And to be honest, we're making some hyper local, smaller events because our team is spread out geographically in the city all over. We also have a very diverse agent group. So we've got some that are kind of in that kid centric. We got some that are in the, hey, let's go have a cocktail. We've got some that are around the church or whatever. So we have kind of also added in like little mini ones because they are. So for example, the first work day in these, we have 3 different happy hours for teachers. Come by after work, first beers on us kind of thing. Conversely to some of the agents that are not like that, they're going to get kind of a more like a pop by kind of thing. We also have one of the agents on my team is very active in the Mormon church and big families, lots of kids. So she has pool Friday and invites the whole church over with their children. And it's basically once a month. And I think she's gotten 20 deals year to date. So we're doing some other hyper local, more to the agent's personality because like attracts like. So that's kind of how we're doing it. We do the big one each quarter, but then we're kind of just peppering in with little pop bys and happy hours and more intimate settings that might be more to the agent's personality.
Sure. That you bring up a really good point because like attracts like. I found doing like Marvel movie events, let's keep it real, then I get all the comic book nerds that
Right.
come out, you know, and so I'm like, well, you know, some of them have more money than others, right, in different age groups. And then and then I find out who the old school people that were reading the comics back in the 60s and 50s, you know, and they're a more mature audience. So, and I choose movies that I would want to see myself because I'm not a big movie goer. I don't, you know, so you as an agent, when you're choosing an event, you're going to want to do something that you can build an attractive field around that you're excited about. Since I don't drink alcohol, I don't do happy hours. I don't, you know, I've provided, sometimes I'll bring beer to a closing if I know that's something that the client really wants. I'm not against that in that regard, but I'm not going to hold a big social thing that is around wine because that's just
Well, and that's the thing. If we do a party at a brewery and I have an agent that doesn't drink, that agent's not going to tell their people to come to the brewery. Conversely, if I have an agent who's 55, most of her friends don't have kids that want to come to Santa. They're not going to promote Santa as highly as they would the Sporting KC game.
right. Definitely. So
we're
it's
trying
like,
to, I have 6 agents. We are, yes. So it's interesting, you know, my kids are finally flying the nest. I don't want to go to a Marvel movie. I saw Marvel movies for 15 years and peace out. I'm ready to like do stuff that's not what I was doing before. So yeah, I
and
think you have to know your audience and play to your audience.
Yeah, and you have a big geographic area there. Kansas City is a huge metro. And you have 2 states that you're
And
working with.
people will not, the girl I was talking about, that's right. And the girl that's Leavenworth Lansing is a base. We have an Army base. And so it's not far, but those people do not want to travel. They don't want to travel 35 minutes south. So we do the big ones, but then we also just like, I think it's important to have if you can't make it to the big one, then come to this one. If you don't want to drink, then come see Santa, right? So options.
Definitely. And that's
But it's all about the invitation. At the end of the day, it's not about them coming to the event. It's about the invitation anyway. It's about giving the agents and myself something to talk about. It's about giving a reason to call, a reason to reach out, because the conversation always turns to how's business. I mean, if we're having a casual conversation, it always turns into how's the market. So it's really not about the party as much as it is just having a reason to be a human with somebody else and say, how's your family?
Yes, definitely. And that's really, if I had to say there was one thing about this whole panel and doing events, it would be that it's not about the event. It's about the touch and the relationship and staying in relationship with people and having those meaningful conversations.
And it's actually the follow-up, and I would add the follow-up. Oops, sorry. The follow-up to the people who don't come sorry, we missed you. That phone call can get you more, I think, than having a client event where there's 100 people watching a movie. You might not get the interaction with that person that you get by calling them and saying, hey, sorry, I missed you at the movie. How are you? So.
Right. Definitely. So it's not just the event, it's the preparation for it, and it's the follow-up.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I touch on that, the follow-up real quick?
okay.
So our goal is to have people take photos, or we have a photographer there, or we take photos ourselves, and a quick movie, and we use Animoto. Animoto has a free tool and another one, and then we put that slide together and send that out. And then the other goal is, hey, did you see the Animoto? Did you see yourself? Or next time we want to get a picture of you. We missed you. Love to have you there. So same thing that Shannon's doing. But that
Awesome.
video is great. And we can put it up on our YouTube channel as well. So that's great.
Definitely. Yeah, Coach Olivia was like, you could dress up and take
That's cool.
pictures. So I like Doctor Strange. So I dressed up as Doctor Strange. People came in, got the photo of Doctor Strange. And I emailed those out. I put it out on Facebook. I did get permission in writing for photos and videos and that kind of thing. So yes, the fortune is in the follow-up. So let's go to Lori. Since you're big team enterprise, lots of events, how do you guys choose those?
Yes, and I'm shaking my head yes with all the things you guys are saying with your wonderful events. It's the follow-up, it's the touch, and it's the invite, the relationship. I dropped a little note just to make sure I remembered. We do have a private Facebook group for sharing our systems with our fellow agents, and it's called Welcome to the Grit Crew. We kind of came up with that about how much grit we have and setting up and taking down, and I'm feeling that this week because we went straight from Pork and Tunes right into our local business show, which was outdoors this year. They weren't sure what COVID was going to do with having that event indoors, and so it was outdoors this year. So we had to pivot a little bit, but we were able to be more intentional about having those relationships and talking to those people versus the big, busy internal business show. So we felt it was a successful day, and we always have a giveaway everywhere, a nice beautiful basket or something of interest tuned to the event. Like if it's a brew fest fundraiser, a local vendor makes these engraved big hydro flask growlers, which are so cool. Everyone just has to come see it because they've never seen one like it. And we'll get hundreds of entries of people saying, yes, I'd be on your newsletter. Do you would like an updated market analysis, or do you have any buyer needs? We ask that on every registration. And so we have people sign up, and then we have a system all around getting those into our database and following up. Anyone who has recent or urgent needs go directly out to the agent for the area that they serve. So we have a system around that. But the private Facebook group is called the Grit Crew, and our director of marketing, Mindy, anytime she's doing an event, she puts all the secret sauce on that private Facebook page. And so my email is there, or also you can go there and we can invite you to the group. So how we select our events, we have some signature ones that we've just been doing for years and years that we have our standard, and then we're open to opportunity. So our nonprofits, they will come and they'll say, we're going to do a sponsorship for this brew fest. I will look for things that are unique that we can stand out at. I have a really great, like I said, this pop-up, and you have a folding 6-foot table and a branded tablecloth. I can take that anywhere. An agent can take it to any event and just pop it up, and you instantly look amazing. And I can put pictures in there of what that setup looks like. We give away the popcorn at homecoming in branded popcorn bags. We sponsor it. We pay for the popcorn, and then we are in there in our aprons and handing it out. It's all about our agents and us being there. When we're talking about, I love National Night Out. We're talking about picking events where you start. We've just layered it in over time. So National Night Out is something that they do all the way across the country on the same night. It's coming up here in August. And we put our pop-up up at the local park, and we give out Otter Pops with a cute little label that says you ought to use the Jalot home team. And I can buy 500 Otter Pops for like $50. And that's literally all that event costs. It doesn't cost me to put my booth there. It doesn't cost me anything other than to be there and laughing and having fun and handing out Otter Pops to all the kids. And the local Pharmacy will have sales on summer stuff. We'll put a family fun basket together with sidewalk chalk and all those fun, bright things. Maybe it costs about $25, $30 to put that basket together. And all of the parents are signing up and saying if they have real estate needs, and we're talking and having a great time. And that entire event, with touching over 500 people, how our town does it all in the park, maybe costs $85 tops. And so you can just look for something that is of interest to you, that's in alignment with your team and your agents, and that you have a passion for. And if you are just getting started with events, if your town, I love, like, what's the movement and the shake of the community? What's the heart of the community? And then find a way to be involved with that. So like in Lebanon, we have the world's largest strawberry shortcake. It's a really big deal to go to the strawberry festival. We have a strawberry parade. It's really fun stuff. Agents could be really super involved and a toe in the door by being on the committee that puts that on. Then you're a key person in all of the events for that festival. So I just recommend, be involved in something that you're passionate about, that you have a love for, that's in alignment with your business, and then look for ways to be in relationship and opportunity to get started.
So you bring up a good point, because I know Gary's talked about from the stage, like plugging in with existing events and then having your own.
Yes.
So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Yeah. So for instance, like the festival or the Brew Fest, one of the things that I came from a background of a financial institution where I spent 23 years in the financial institution where my responsibility was business development. So I would be involved, and I brought that over here 6 years ago when I came to work for Laura. So being involved in the event at, for instance, like the Boys and Girls Club, maybe being on the board or volunteering to put on their committee, then you're going to, going to those committee meetings and making decisions about how that event's going to be ran. Then you're on the forefront of the opportunity when not only are all those people so thankful for your service, they're telling everyone, oh my gosh, they're so great. They help us so much. They love their community. They're everywhere. Those are the things we hear when we're out there in the community. Thank you so much, you guys. Our community wouldn't be the beautiful place it is without your assistance or your help. And so you're on the committee, or you volunteer to hand out the lanyards at the business show. You're at the front booth as everyone walks in with your name tag on, being of service. You're touching all of these people. And then at that committee, you're like, great, I would love this. Recently happened to me. I was asked to be on the Distinguished Service Awards banquet for our community's committee because people recognize me of being a servant heart and wanting to give back. So I was asked to be on that. And at the business show, what are we going to do for everybody's pens with COVID? I'm like, well, why don't you let us provide pens on lanyards for all of the attendees? And then we had a booth there. So starting out, being of service on a committee or a board, or volunteering at the signature event, or maybe it's your school carnival, your church's event, whatever that is, then you're at the forefront for the opportunity for you to have your own aspect of that event, and then just keep growing it is what I would recommend. And that happens. And oftentimes, then those folks see you as, oh, that's the Jalot event. The Jalots do that every year. We're asked every year to have a booth at the Strawberry Festival, or have the booth at the Brew Fest, or the Carva, or whatever that is. Passing the basket at the Cardvo luncheon, the Jalot team, they just pass the basket. That's what they do. And then once you have that signature piece, no one else really has the opportunity or is even asked. You're just seen as that key person. And then you've got your toe in the door that becomes your signature event.
So I want to turn the conversation towards systems and models, since we're a company of systems and models. And we're going to go in reverse order. So Lori, we'll start with you. Okay. And you've talked a little bit about this already. What are some systems and models that make your events successful?
Yes. The playbook, planning it ahead for those, we have room in our schedule for, unexpected things or opportunity. We always want to be open to opportunity, something we hadn't planned on, but planning in September, October for the events that we would like to do for the next year allows our agents to say, because we do so many events. We ask that they participate in those, and that way they're able to pick the ones, like maybe the photo shoot at the dog park in the fall is their passion, or maybe it's the pork and tunes, or they can plan their schedule. So planning ahead to iron out your signature events for the year, and then having that checklist that you with specific dates and times for when you implement your systems for that. So Pork and Tunes, for example, we just finished it on Saturday. We have this afternoon a Pork and Tunes recap and debrief meeting amongst our leadership team, where we will evaluate ideas and thoughts and how to make it better next year, what went right, what we could do better, how we could improve, and we will tune those checklists this week and actually start planning for next July. When I went to the business show on Tuesday, we already had a little chalkboard pig that said save the date for July 23rd. So we've already started ahead for that big event for next year. But the checklists are critical. And then on those checklists, when do you send the Google form? When do you call? Who do you order the cake from? Where does, the dates and times and phone numbers of those key people? Because what would happen is I would be here in my office just down the hall from Laura, and Laura's assistant and office managers right there. And prior to an event, she'd say, hey, I have this really great idea. We should send a Google form to all those folks and make sure they remember. But because I didn't see them do that, that was something that was being executed, and that made a big difference to the success of the event. Unless I knew that they did that and got it on the checklist, it wasn't duplicatable for next year. So you always want to be asking yourself, what's scalable, what's duplicatable, what's on the checklist, and form that system. And then that follow-up piece, what do you do right away with those leads and those contacts? What's your system around getting them into your database? Because that's the hard thing. You'll have a fabulous event, and 4 days later, happens to the best of us, the agent that cleaned up, all of the lead sheets are in the bucket with the pens stacked on top because everybody's tired, and it's dropped in the garage. And everyone's like, what happened to all the leads we got at that event? Well, they're in a bucket somewhere, right? So we're like, oh, I can't do that. So that happens to us all. So it's like, okay, we have a system around, we have a point person learning, maybe assigning a lead to each section that needs to get accomplished if it's a big event. So there's a point person to get those leads back and speed to lead to call those people. It was great to see you. And then we added the layer of the tracking afterwards. What did we get at that event? So you can gauge your return on investment. Do we want to do that again? Was that in alignment? And do we want to do it again? So the pre-planning, marketing playbook, systematized checklists, debrief and follow up, get the leads out to the agents and into the database so you can start touching those. And then the follow up with data results on how your event went is what we do. We have a new event coming up we've wanted to do for a long time, and Mindy's put it together and done some really cute graphics about it for a shred and sharpen event, because we give Cutco knives for our closing gifts. And so we're having a Shred It truck come, and they can come and shred or get their Cutco knives sharpened. And so that's a fun event that's new for us that we haven't done in the past. So we're always looking for new things to do.
I'm hearing a theme of preparation, doing something that you love personally in your business, planning for it, having the system to implement it, and then having systems for follow-up.
Yeah.
How many agents are on Laura's team?
So we have 41 people, and we have 24, we have 2 new agents, so 24 agents in production. We have a commercial broker, and then listing agents, buyer agents on the team.
Do you guys do the database too in terms of calling clients, or because it sounds like it's really around the events?
It's really around the events. However, that's our primary thing that we do for our PI events, is we do physically call through our entire Met database, which is around, we have our Commissions Inc., our sync database, where folks are coming in there, and that's a large database. You'll hear this amongst MAPS coaches. It's not uncommon, but we still do have top producer, because we've had our CRM go out of business in the past, literally overnight, and leave us scrambling, trying to neatly convert a very large 30-year database to a new database. And of course we use Command. But we have a system around how we maintain our Met database. And And we do physically call through that Met database when we give out the pies. So we're up to 1,000 pumpkin pies, and we just gave out 1,000 apple pies the day before the 4th of July. So when we talk about the systems, big systems to do big events, we're always working on them, that we pull those things off smoothly. Even during COVID, we turned it into, we do the chili cook-off too, which I love. Our team would make the chili, and then on Thanksgiving Pie Day, all of our clients are coming and they're tasting all the chili. And imagine pre-COVID, everyone's using like the same spoon and, you know, doing all this stuff. Like, imagine things won't go back the way they were, but they will in some capacity. But we love the chili cook-off, the fall day, the pumpkin pies, the can of whipped cream. But we changed it to a drive-through. We set up some stanchions. We put up the pop-up. We're greeting people. We have the list. They're coming through. We're be able to face-to-face communicate with them. They're getting their pie, and then they go right on around. So we were able to pivot during COVID and still have that event. And but we physically call through our database twice a year to invite them for their pie. And then they get touched a number of times for those other events.
So everybody's getting invitations to all the events.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Similar
So
with what you're saying with, you know, they get the initial invite, the save the date, are you coming, the Google reminder form, they come to the event the day of. We often have giveaways, or we want people to come into the office. We often have giveaways or raffles or things going on online. Someone will give us free tickets to a local country festival and we'll give them away, things like that.
I found, like, in doing just the one movie event I just did, they get a call, they get multiple emails to eventbrite.com. There's other systems like that. They see me on social media. They get texts. My virtual assistant did the texting for me. So one event can generate 10, 20 touches depending on how you do it.
Exactly. And sometimes an example of an opportunity by starting, especially if you're just getting started with events, start by what goes on in your community that you love. And one of those things that happened during COVID that was really special for us is that the Boys and Girls Club, of course, they're going to stay open, and they're trying to keep these kiddos with no one's in school and parents are trying to work and those types of things. So they had a committee meeting, and someone was going to make available a giant screen for a movie and do a drive-in movie, socially distanced, cars parked, out in the field where they normally have this festival. Because the festival was canceled, they could utilize this screen and stage and do this movie. And they were doing it for a fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club. And I suggested at the committee, you could maybe do one extra night and make this as a fundraiser for a large corporation whose their client appreciation parties are canceled, their parties that they do for their people are canceled. There could be someone who wanted to sponsor that night and have an additional night and make it their own. And so they ended up making that happen, but they brought that opportunity to us first and said, you know, hey, you guys gave us that idea. We can do it one extra night. Would you guys like to do that? Like, yes, thank you for thinking of us. So we thought of doing the movie Grease, which is, has a fan favorite for everybody. And then we dressed up in the poodle skirts, and David Gelato, 6'6", had put on the big T-bird wig and had the black shirt tucked in, and it was just hilarious. So people came and drove in their cars and socially distanced, and they were able to sit on their tailgates and watch Grease. But we were all cheering in our poodle skirts and our Grease gear as they pulled in. And it was just a wonderful night, but we were able to do that relatively inexpensively and easily. It was super fun. The whole community got to come out. It was a contribution to them because there was nothing that was open. And the only reason we got that opportunity for the event is because I happened to be at that committee meeting. So I would just encourage people, if you're just getting started, or find that thing you're passionate about and just become involved, and then your signature event will rise to the top.
I want to shift to Shannon. Systems. Let's talk a little bit, because we have about 10 minutes left. I want to open up for questions here pretty soon. Systems, and specifically around money and how to pay for these, and or getting sponsors for others to pay for it.
Well, systems wise, I think we have a playbook too. And I think the most important part of ours is the wrap up part, where we really try to write down what worked, what didn't work, because if you try to think about it 9 months later, you forget. And honestly, ours is like in a written book. But one of the things I would say is, if you're just starting, one of the things we've done that's pretty easy, and it goes to our serve, deliver, give, is a blood drive. Because if you partner with the American Red Cross or you partner with the Blood Center of Kansas City, they actually do it all for you. They bring the snacks, they have the signups. You just have to basically find the house for them, or not the house, but the market center is what we used. We did the shred event kind of in coordination with that. And we also did, at the same time, we told them they could bring their paint cans because hazardous waste is such a pain. So we had pickup trucks to take away the paint cans. But some of these organizations will really make it easy on you and you don't have to spend hardly any money. The blood drive, I think, is a really a good one because not everybody gives, for sure. It's like 20%, but everybody thinks it's a really cool way to give back. So if you can just be the facilitator between American Red Cross and your community, it's kind of a win. So we do a lot of things. The playbook is basically, we keep track of just everything we've spent. You know, we do go with Gary and his 4 times ROI, and yet client events, we know that it builds year after year. The more you do it, it kind of becomes an intangible tracking. So we just budget 10% for lead gen, and our lead gen goes to pop buys and parties. So that's how we do it.
All right, cool. John and Anya, do you have anything you want to add about? Were you done, Shannon?
Yeah. Sorry, my internet connection is just terrible, apparently. But
Okay, no worries. John and Anya, you want anything about systems? And then we're going to open up to some questions.
For our parties that are 75 to 100, it probably costs us around $1,500. And we typically get our vendor, our home inspectors, insurance people, different people to kick in. Sometimes health professionals that are outside, that are health insurance people, they don't get an opportunity to talk to folks much, so they contribute in terms of that. And then similarly, we have a playbook and we do our best to follow it. And I'm loving all the things I'm hearing today, so thanks for all the tips. I'm getting a lot out of it. I have one question for the other panelists. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Questions are later, right?
Oh, questions.
Yeah.
So we're hearing a theme, having a playbook and writing for your systems, and so that it's duplicatable and that you can follow up with it. So John, you said you have a question for one of the panelists?
Well, for either Shannon or Lori, so we're small, just a couple of us on our team, and we're challenged sometimes to talk to all of our customers. I mean, I'm so busy walking the room and trying to make sure I say hi to everybody, and it is challenging. So that's why we started coming up with, we need to do one-on-ones and started inviting people as well. How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know if Shannon, would you like to go first or? Yeah. That, I think she's telling me that.
I think that is a big problem. And sorry, we were talking about each other. I think there's a big that is a hard thing, because especially if you're the person that people know. I don't know how you get around it. Just trying to be cognizant of the fact that, like, you want to gravitate towards talking to somebody for 10 minutes, but you really got to be making eye contact and all that stuff. That's why I think that the small parties for me are a lot easier. The movie theater, I didn't like it. We did it once. I didn't like it because I felt like it was such a quick, they went in and they sat in their seats. It was dark and I didn't get the love thing going. So
what we have done for that can be really difficult, and because people do love you and they want your time. And what we've done for our movie, we're blessed that our movie theater is kind of a small little theater, but we set up a table. We started from our RSVP list. It's another touch, I guess, that has been kind of magical. And you could do this at any event that you knew your guest list that's coming. We did a goodie bag for them. So rather than just go up and get their popcorn and pop that we were sponsoring, we did a goodie bag for them with just some little chocolates, some little things, and we had their name on them. So they would come in and they would get their picture taken by one of our staff in the office, not a professional thing, just quick picture with Laura. And then we're like, what's your name? We'd check them off, thank them for coming, and they'd get their goodie bag. So that slowed them down to have that quick little, so glad you're here, that moment for you to honor them for coming, get their goodie bag, and then they went on about their way. And then when the movie's over, like Laura would be there, and we would be there, like, thank you for coming, and just waving as everybody's going. But giving them that little goodie bag slowed them up and had them come to you. And then like pork and tunes, for instance, it wasn't planned, but it was kind of magical. We were talking about, we'll add that in next year. We had people lined up for food. Well, Laura stood right in the center, and we wanted to hand out plates. So she got right in the center. She had this special paper that you put on the plate to make it look cute, like this gingham white and square paper. She just wanted something to do and like help move the line. So she got right in the center, and she's like, just happy, cheerful, like here, 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 here. Like she just had the opportunity to have a little bit of a moment of a face-to-face with every person as they came through, but then they were moving through to whatever the event was, right? So and also if you have that, maybe one staff person with you, or if you have the opportunity to have a lender or a title rep or somebody there to kind of be your help or your support of your muscle, because that is the setup and all of those things are difficult. Perhaps have them do something that you would be normally working on, and you just be that face, that quick greet as they come through, because most of us are all worker bees as well. And if you're like Laura and I, you're also setting up the tables and doing everything else, you know. So
at my movie event, I was Dr. Strange. I had some clients, I have some kids that they signed people in, they counted the attendees, the lender signed people in. So I just did photos, slowed them down, talked to them.
Yeah, we had a quick moment of value with you and a quick snapshot with you, and then on to the movie. Yeah.
And then I introduced the sponsors at the beginning of the movie. So I had the theater stop the previews, welcomed everyone, thanked them. And then we had a little event 2 days later that was lending and real estate related, just something to direct them towards. So when they left, they got little invitations to that. So we have 2 minutes, so I'm willing to go a little long if people have questions. We talked about systems. We talked a little bit about getting started. Let's just open it up to the group if they have questions for any of the panelists.
Questions?
Hey guys, good morning. This is Victor Serna and my wife Ana Gavi from Laredo. We recently joined MAPS coaching, and this is our first group coaching call. So thank you guys for the very valuable information. I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on how you're handing out the leads to your team. Is there a specific way you're doing that? Is there a certain criteria? How are you guys spreading those out for those of you in big team?
Yeah, I can answer that because it does get challenging, and that is the system we had to put around as we evaluated hiccups and bumps. So how we work that is, if we have a booth or we have an event, the agents that actually are at that event and who are working the booth, if they stop and they're having a one-on-one meaningful conversation and that lead generation, and they connect with that client and they're saying, you know, yes, I'd love to talk to you afterwards, they put their name on that lead sheet, and that lead sheet goes back directly to that person who formed that relationship at the event. If it's just a general event entry, it will be divided amongst the folks working the event, if it's that type of scenario. If it's like Pork and Tunes, where everyone's a past client, that's a client of the team, everyone's coming in, and that's how we operate. We are a true team. Everyone is a client of the team. It all comes in on Pork and Tunes. Then we look to see, oh, they need a market analysis, and they're in our town of Albany specialists there. So first route goes to, if you have a one-on-one meeting or conversation, you put your name on that lead, it goes back to you. Second level is if you were at the booth, those leads would be distributed amongst the other agents working at the booth. If it's a large event for the whole office, such as Pie Day or Pork and Tunes Movie Day, something like that, it's distributed to the appropriate agent for the area that would cover that area. Or if not, if that would not apply, finally, we have a round robin system. So we would go round robin out to the agents. So that's how we fairly distribute leads from events.
Awesome, thank you.
356250. Anyone else want to add to that, or another question? If you want to raise your hand, and the raise your hand function, that's another way to do it, or just start talking.
I actually
Geographical, how so?
So because Kansas City is so big, they got Lee's Summit to Overland Park, up to Liberty, and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's how we do geographical. So basically people do have a specialty area. Most everybody is licensed in both states, but we do have geographical centers that all that stuff. And it is fair to be unfair. There is also on our team, I mean, the people who are bringing the most in are going to be receiving the most team leads. But generally speaking, we try to figure out how they got connected, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of. And then whoever geographically knows the area that they like the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
That's how I
agree.
do it.
Our towns are smaller, but we just still have a geographical area where we have Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis. They're towns that are separated, and we have agents that specialize in those
Yeah.
areas. So we would look to see if it's an Albany lead, it would go to our Albany folks, and so on.
What about the leads? Where are they going? Do they go into one database or do they go into a team database? And how do they get assigned within that database so you can know who's going to follow up with that one lead?
Yeah. Yeah, they go into
Ours go into command, and I am the owner, and I
Mhm.
oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, Shannon. Go ahead.
We use command, and then we just assign it. I think we probably do the same thing. We go into command, and it's the team lead, but then we assign it to an agent. That way, if something happens, I could just actually reassign it to a different agent if by chance that agent couldn't do it. But it's in the team database.
Any lead that's generated during the event is a team lead, essentially, for us. So then it gets assigned to someone.
Yeah, I would agree.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You know, I want to touch back real quickly to just touching and talking to everybody. I think that one of the most rewarding parts is the first time we ever had an event and seeing all these people that we had one-on-ones with in one room. I mean, I literally was about to cry. And then from that point on, we've always had the opportunity. We've had a microphone or a stage or something, and we kind of picked up on the term, we're the keepers of the community, and we're so glad you're all here. And we've found people that didn't know each other are now coming to our group to see other people, and they've become friends, but it's at our group. They don't necessarily, some may talk outside the group, but for the most part, they're looking forward to the event to come and be with their friends, and they gravitate towards like-kind people. It's very interesting.
It's very special. Yeah, I agree.
I have a question regarding the movie event. Do you typically rent out the entire theater?
So in my experience, like Cinemark, a lot of them will require you to pay for the whole movie theater up front. I found a theater here locally that, because it was more central to my area geographically, when I reached out to him, he said, hey, I'll cut you a deal. This last time he had me pay for 20 tickets up front, and then we counted, and then I just paid for the seats I filled. So it was way less expensive. He is the manager for like all the AMCs in town. So I just, that's why it depends on the movie theater. Most of them have corporate policies where you will have to buy out the theater up front.
Okay, thank you.
I'd strongly recommend the comedians. There's comedians that have been out of work. They need help. There's theaters that are available. You can get a community center. You can do a theater. I mean, a comedy show. The people are getting a belly laugh and they're thinking about you. We do belly laughs with Buttigieg's, and it works great. People like, when is the next comedian? When's it happening? And we're getting comedians that are, we're helping them, and that's been great. I mean, that's been so much fun.
It's a great idea. We did have a party similar to what you were talking about, but it was a local band that was coming through and they lost their gig, and just those relationships in the community. They said, would you like to throw a party? I'm like, you bet we would. So we just rallied really fast, invited everybody really fast, and had a nice little parking lot party. But the comedians is a fabulous idea.
John, where do you find your comedians? How did you find them?
First one we found through a friend, and you probably have there's probably like local comedy, probably local for the improv theaters, and then you might have a local comedy store in nearby. There are people that work cruise ships. They can't do cruise ships now. That's where ours. He was a professional doing headliner, did cruise lines, and he kind of created the parking lot event. He started doing it at some different places, and we're like, well, you can do it in our parking lot. So we tried doing it online on Zoom, and that wasn't quite as good. It was actually not so good at all because he wanted to tell his life story rather than tell jokes. So, yeah, but all the comedians just stick to the jokes.
Okay.
And it was great.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great idea.
And look for a
Yep.
clean comedian, somebody that tells that doesn't use,
Agreed.
family-friendly event.
Right.
Any other
All right.
questions?
I would like to ask you guys a question. Other than what we've talked about here, what's your most favorite event that you've ever done? Is there a unique one that anyone has mentioned yet that you've done?
I think my favorite event was brunch on the beach. And the timing was a little challenging because we did it in July, which is
Extremely hot.
really hot.
Yeah.
And we were the organizers. We got everything
We had
on
us
the
and-
beach,
Us and an admin and the admin's husband
and that was it.
and a caterer. And we hauled in 10 tents to go on Siesta Key Beach, and it was fine in the morning. And we had a steel drum guy, and it was all very cool. And the caterers came, and then it just got so insanely hot.
Yeah.
But our customers loved it. I mean, they were just they
Yeah,
just
it was a
loved
fun
it.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now we're thinking like sunset on the beach might be better. So cool.
Yeah. very fun. You did touch on a point. I know we're out of time, but part of our secret sauce too is we have other admins, husbands or spouses. All of those, pretty much all of those 40 people, their spouses are very involved and work all over the place. My husband changes the filter in the office. He changes the light bulbs and blows off the parking lot. And we couldn't do all the things we do if they were also doing those things. So we put our spouses to work too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved my first holiday party I did before COVID because as a singer, we sang Christmas carols. It was that experience of like, I knew everyone, but they didn't necessarily know everybody. So next time I do something like that, because last year for COVID, we just did photos with Santa. It was cool to see people that didn't know that they knew each other or whatever, or that I was the connection.
Mhm.
And we did it at the Animal Rescue League. So there's like a pet adoption ball and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Fun.
was there another hand raised? It's 11:40. Was there another question or?
No, it was more of a clap when she mentions spouses, because
All right.
Yeah. Cannot
Very
be
good.
And we have to
Very
jump off, but thank you very much for having us. We appreciate
very
it.
nice to meet you all. I put my email in there, just Lori@laurajalot.com, and I love events and I love to help. So just reach out if I can help you.
Type info
Thank you.
in real quick.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.